for an illegal engine modification. But team owner Michael Shank told Rick Benjamin and Chocolate Myers on Trade and Paint he's not planning an appeal.
Any appeal at this point, which there are some grounds we could definitely go after, but in my opinion, any appeal that we do to it just slows the process of making the balance of power work. Meaning we have a race coming up in 3 weeks in Austin, and we need to know that those 3 motors are as close as they can be.
Tommy Baldwin Racing and Team SLR announced a joint effort to field the number 8 Chevy Camaro during the 2013 Nationwide Series season, a continuation of a partnership formed between the two teams last year. Sharing the driving duties will be Scott Lagasse, as well as Corey LaJoie, who will make his nationwide debut at Dover in June. And Andrew Ranger has returned to the number 53 NDS Motorsports team based in Vermont. The double champion NASCAR Canadian Tire champ has signed a deal to make a dozen starts with the U.S. team, the same team he drove for in 2011. That program will be shared between the K&N Pro Series, ARCA, and Nationwide. That's the Morning Drive News for Monday, February 4th, 2013. I'm Pete Pistone.
Now,
you know what I think you need?
The Morning Drive.
That's a fun thing. Yeah.
With Mike Bagley and Pete Pistone.
Got a little boom in my big truck. Gonna open up the doors and turn it up. Gonna stomp my boots in the Georgia mud. Gonna watch you make me fall in love. Get up on the hood of my daddy's tractor. Up on the toolbox, it don't matter. Down on the tailgate, girl, I can't wait to watch you do your thing. Shake it for the young bucks sitting in the honky tonks.
28 minutes before the top of the hour. Back on the Morning Drive. To the hotline we go. We bring in Steve Letarte, crew chief for Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. Top of the morning, Stevie.
Morning, gentlemen. How y'all doing?
We're doing good, Steve. How are you? How was your Super Bowl viewing yesterday?
Oh, Super Bowl was good. Pretty relaxing. Just stayed at home. Had some friends and family come over. It was pretty uneventful. Today, a little chilly. We're in Nashville testing, and it's not quite 27 at the moment. So this call is a great reason for me to get back in the rental car and turn the heat back on. So this is working for me.
Oh, good. Glad we can help you out. All right. How are 27-degree temperatures going to impact your day up there in Nashville?
Well, it's Nashville itself is a concrete track, so there's a lot that's different from places we go. But, as far as a fast facility that has pretty good loads, you can come here, you can test out a lot of concepts, a lot of ideas, and we have some stuff we want to run through after the Charlotte test, so we'll come here and kind of shake the car down and just see how it all goes. But it would be nice if it gets warmer. It's supposed to get up to like 50 today, though, so it shouldn't be too bad.
Now, the things that you're trying to do, are they temperature sensitive? I mean, this obviously is not going to be a wasted test for you, but, what can you learn when your testing is in the 20s when you're going to be racing in, depending on the climate, 70s, 80s, or 90s?
Yeah, no, nothing's really temperature sensitive. It's just the opportunity to get on track and work some things out. Anytime you can get on track, you can learn stuff. And with the season fast approaching, we try to get as much stuff checked off the list as we can get.
Now, go ahead, Batman.
Well, I was going to say, I wanted to get this out of the way up front.
Yeah.
Pistol Pete and I have been discussing this morning, talking about the Super Bowl before we get too far away from that. It's obviously run or held at the end of the season for the National Football League. We pondered the opportunity for a moment if we moved the Daytona 500 to November, made that our last race, our biggest race, the final race of the year. You as a crew chief, would you be a fan of that? If so, why or why not? Or what do you think?
I think I'm a fan of history, so I like the Daytona 500 to kick off our season. I think as a sport, we've done a great job building the Homestead weekend as the championship weekend. We crown all 3 series there. It kind of is, kind of our Super Bowl, the end of our playoffs. But we have the opportunity to have some marquee events through the year. I think comparing it to the NFL is kind of odd. I compare it more to like golf, and then they have the Masters, and they have the U.S. Open, and they have some marquee events through the year, and then they play off, finish their playoffs at the end of the year. And I think we have the same opportunity. I think, having a great event to kick off the season is an awesome idea. It definitely generates a lot of buzz, a lot of excitement, and it gives the race teams a great bit of exposure right off the start. So I don't think there's any reason you need to move it. I think we already have a great event closing our season in a great climate. So I think I really enjoy the season and the schedule how it is now.
And I think the golf analogy is a good one, Steve. But, you're a sports guy. I'm a sports guy. Bagman's a sports guy. And then when you talk to people like at a Super Bowl party, I understand where they're coming from when they say, well, why don't you culminate your year with your biggest event? but I think you've got to know a lot more about this sport in order to give them an educated answer with tradition and all. And also, I don't think ending the year with a restrictor plate race is the right way to crown a champion either.
No, not at all. And I think, what's different is in football we narrow it down to 2 teams. We don't narrow it down at all. All 43 teams get to race in every event, and that's unique. That's another thing that the NFL doesn't do. Only 2 teams get to take part in the Super Bowl. They only get, so only those 2 teams kind of get the benefit of it. So that's, it's just different. It's a different style of sport.
All right, I want to go back to the Nashville thing. I'm always interested when you guys and teams go up there because it's a concrete surface. What benefits of testing on a concrete surface and maybe some things that are detrimental about it, Steve?
Well, if we had our choice, it would be a pavement track. But now that we run at Kentucky, that was really our pavement test facility. So now there's just not a lot of good opportunities to go with bigger tracks that are paved. We would love if this one was paved, but it's still not a big enough deterrent for us not to come. I think it's a beautiful facility. They've done a great job cleaning it up, keeping it kept up. It's easy to get here. You can fly out here in the morning with the time change. It helps you a little bit. And it's really convenient to come here and work things out. It doesn't have to be exactly how we race. We always have items that need to go on the racetrack to be tested. I think the big misnomer is the fans and even the media, I don't think quite understand what testing is all about and what we do with it. Testing is not really, it's not practice. It's nothing like what we do on the race weekend. What we'll do here for 2 days is we won't do a single thing that we'll do at a practice or a happy hour through the season. So it's really just a completely different way of running your car and working through items.
What do you think that the media or the fans don't know about testing outside of that? Obviously, because a lot of fans think that you go and you run practice laps, you do this, you do that, and you're testing a lot of other things. What other misnomers are out there about testing?
Well, with the schedule the way it is and the points the way it is, and it's so tough to make the chases each and every year, that not only are you trying to work on your setups, but you're working on your components, making sure components can live. We'll be here with multiple cars today, and one of our cars is just going to run miles and work through stuff and make sure stuff runs like it needs to run. And we'll run stuff across it, but it might run a few more laps. We saw that with the Joe Gibbs, the 11 car at the Charlotte test. They had Michael McDowell in it, and I think they ran 500 miles. And that tells me that they're doing some sort of durability testing. It's not always, very few of our answers today will come on the stopwatch, if any. And I think that's the big difference that people don't understand is we're really not looking for lap time. We're looking for a lot of other answers. And those hopefully will all total up to lap time when it's time to put them together at a real racetrack.
When will answers start coming from the stopwatch?
Sure. When we drop the green flag. It's really it. There's so many, when you change the body style, a car style, the things that we ruled off, okay, better, and kind of built the foundation over years, those are all up in the air again. So we're testing some pretty major ideas, and they're going to change dramatically as we race, where you stack up with everyone else. Daytona's different being a speedway, but then Phoenix, you go to short track, and then you have a test day at Vegas, and then you race at Vegas. And, I don't think any of the true answers will really start to show up until 4 or 5 races into the season. But you'll know where you stack up as soon as the green flag falls in Phoenix.
From Twitter, Darren wants us to find out from you, Steve, the tire situation when you go to a test like the one you're at in Nashville. How do you pick what tires you use? How does that work?
Well, you're allowed to go test on any tire that you currently run on. So if we were to run a tire at Charlotte or Dover or anywhere, we can buy those codes and take them to go test. And really, at any of these tracks we don't race at, we get Goodyear's vote on what they think we should bring for a tire. And then we also look at history. Other teams come here as well. And as crew chiefs, we all try to kind of communicate well and all come on the same tire. It's better for the facility. The track stays rubbered in better if you all come on the same tire. It gives you an idea. Why we're here today, we'll be able to compare with our teammates who are here with us. So their data will be a lot more representative of what we have since we're on the same code. So that's kind of how we work the tire situation, is you're allowed to bring whatever tire you've already run on. But that's a perfect question, an example of why, like going to Phoenix in the spring, it's a brand-new tire. So some people will go to Pikes Peak and test for Phoenix, but it's going to be very hard this year if you don't have the real tire. So, it kind of makes it it really kind of sometimes steers your testing decision on what tires are available.
Now, in terms of testing, in terms of tires for the new year, I know there's a Goodyear tire test tomorrow at Darlington. Kind of what's your sense about the tire you guys are going to use once the season starts?
Well, I think, it's a mix. I think at Phoenix we have an all-new tire, but then at Vegas we have the same tire we had last year. So I think they're back and forth, some new, some old. There'll be some testing with this new car. They have a tremendous amount of unanswered questions as well. They have a lot of things, a lot of loads that they have been able to record over time, and now with this new car, they have questions as well about the rear camber and the aero load and how it's going to affect the tire, and they have to go gather that data. And I think until they go get that data, we're not really going to be able to see a major tire shift. I think they're going to have to prove it to themselves that they need to change the tire first, and then perhaps we'll get a new tire.
Talking with Steve LetarteTMD, crew chief for Dale Earnhardt Jr. Stevie, time is precious. 1 week from Thursday, we will be in Daytona for Media Day. Of course, the Unlimited, 1 week from Saturday. What is left to be done? You're in Nashville today. You're going to come back. Do you give the guys one final day off or so, or is it full steam ahead, getting the truck packed up, and ultimately leaving for Daytona? When will the truck leave, by the way?
Well, basically, our D-Day is we have to have everything in the truck next Tuesday. We can bleed over a little into Wednesday morning if necessary, but we try to get it all done next Tuesday night so Wednesday the trucks can go to Daytona. We're in pretty good shape. We got all of our speedway cars in paint. I'll be flying home tomorrow a little early from the test to go to the wind tunnel. We're wind tunneling basically most of the night Tuesday night. Actually, it's kind of like the zero shift, so we're really kind of midnight to the morning hours. We'll run that, and then we really. The cars are there. They're ready to go. We just, it's time now to work and make sure we have all the details ready, fine-tune some stuff. But it's more than just Daytona. You start the year Daytona, Phoenix, Vegas, West Coast trips. So, the trucks have to go back and forth. It gets very complicated. So, our speedway cars are basically in the assembly shop, and now our fab shop's working on intermediate and short track cars. So we're just building up the fleet, making sure we get everything where it needs to be and get ready to go to Daytona.
Does it take time for the team to get into a rhythm, Steve, or because you guys are so tight-knit, and especially this offseason because we've had so many testing sessions, does that help the cause once the season starts?
Well, it definitely takes time to get in the rhythm, team. Nothing's like game day. You can scrimmage all you want, but until you unload and have to set up the scales and get through inspection and get ready for practice and do all of that. It's very new. And unfortunately, that's the one thing you don't do in Daytona. Daytona is nothing like anywhere else we go. It's very spread out. For the first weekend, you have 2 race cars. So it's nothing like anywhere else you go with the unlimited car and the 500 car. So that's something that's kind of a joke on our team is when you unload Friday morning in Phoenix in a very cramped garage area and you have to practice and qualify and tech, man, the reality has set in. You got a lot to do in one day. So, those are things that we go through at these test sessions. That's some of the other stuff we do. Is not only are we testing on the racetrack, but we're testing in the garage. We're making sure all of our changes, we understand how we're going to do it. We have a couple new guys, which is normal every year, and just make sure everybody understands their role within the team.
Now, before I let you go, I asked Drew Blickenser for this last week. I'm just curious, and I've asked this to a few other people as well. You as a crew chief have a lot of data to pour over. You get the game plan ready, kind of like football. As the head coach, you get the game plan ready, get everything lined up and laid out, and you have in your mind what you want to do and when you want to do it on race day. At what point in the weekend do you isolate yourself from everybody, everything, and kind of have some Steve time to get your mind right for the race you're about to run? When does that happen? What are you doing? You watching TV? Is it over dinner? Is it back in the motorhome? How do you get that Steve time to prepare and walk us through and describe that to us?
Well, I think, it's really 2 times for me. When we get to the racetrack on a Thursday afternoon before we check in Friday morning, that evening is important. I spend a lot of time in my motorhome just going through what we plan on doing for the weekend, make sure as prepared as we can be for the upcoming events, what we want to try to do, what the goal is for practice, whether it's qualifying or race trim, make sure everyone has the practice plan when you get there Friday morning, and then that happens again Saturday night. Saturday night's probably the most in-depth one. That's when everything comes together. Saturday night before the Daytona 500, you will have worked for months on these race cars, and as a crew chief, I hold it as it's my responsibility. We have 500 people at Hendrick Motorsports that have all done their job to try to win the Daytona 500. So now, the night before the race, you have to make sure you've done your job. You need to make sure that you don't let that group down that's worked so hard to give you that opportunity. And, it's a lot of details to go into it. But we have a great group of guys, and especially back in the shop, we have so many smart people back in the shop that we're not short on information. It's just you got to find the time to be able to go through that information and make the best decision. Do
you delegate stuff to other people on the staff? Do you have a couple of assistants say, hey, can you do me a favor, take a look at this, let me know this, or, take a look at that, and then you take that input? Or do you try to do it all yourself and see all that data that's out there and go through it yourself?
Well, I think everyone does it different. I delegate a lot of responsibility. In the end, the decisions fall on my desk, and I have no problem making them, and I'll stand up when they're incorrect and let them know that I should have made a different one. But there's just too much. There's too much information to feel that I could do it myself as efficiently as a group can. I think that's the key as a crew chief is you try to hire really smart people that believe in the same thing you believe in, that understand the goals of the team. And, if you do that, I think you can delegate very effectively and cover more ground.
Awesome. Appreciate the behind-the-scenes glance there as we get set for another racing season, my friend. Have fun in Tennessee today, up in Nashville. Hope it gets warm. And, of course, next week, Bud, the big week. We're back at Daytona for a start of a brand-new season. Can't wait to get there, and I'm sure you can either.
No, can't wait. Can't wait to get there. So thanks for having me on, guys.
All right, Steve. See you, Bill.
Steve Letarte in Nashville at Nashville Superspeedway, getting ready to do some testing. Getting ready to put some of those Chevrolet SS's through some of their final paces before, obviously, heading back to the shop and, getting ready to get that hauler. Tuesday, D-Day, 1 week.